So Bloed Betaal is made by Mojam Records, Film, Clothing, Entertainment. And you can definitely tell because the whole movie felt like it was some clothing, music, adverts. Because they spent more time focusing on the clothes and the music than they did the actual acting and the storyline.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Match Rundown. If you enjoy watching movies as much as we do, subscribe and hit the like button down below.
Today we're going to be doing our review on Bloed Betaal. Bloed Betaal was directed, edited, and produced by Mark Matroos. He also had a role in the film as the priest. Neil Oortman starred as the father. Renee Brown starred as the mother. Vondi Kemp was Spider, and Rashay Koopman was the daughter.
Essentially, the movie is about a father, John, and his daughter, Abby. She gets caught in the crossfire between gang wars, fighting over turf, and she gets shot. And he swears vengeance on the gangsters. And I know in the movie there was particular emphasis on the fact that the cops do not actually do their job. So the father felt like he had to do the cop's job for them to ensure that his daughter gets justice. The trailer really gave a Liam Neeson vibe because I thought it was going to be that, vengeance, action-packed movie. But sadly, it wasn't really that. In terms of themes, the movie really looked at the typical colored experience, or at least what some people view the typical colored experience. And I want to say only the negative, typical Cape colored view. Because they looked at colors as gangsters, as drunks, because the father is an alcoholic. And he starts to drink even before his daughter Abby gets shot. So it's not like he was drinking because his daughter got shot. He had started that even before. He even spent his paycheck, his weekly paycheck, on alcohol instead of buying his daughter a present. So this disconnect that, you love your daughter so much, but at the same time, he's an alcoholic. So there's things that he prioritizes above her.
Yeah. Another theme that I'm sure they were going for was the revenge, retribution type theme, where he wants to get revenge on the guy who shot his daughter. Also retribution along the way where he redeems himself for all the bad stuff he's done by taking him down and saving his daughter and being the hero even. Yeah. But it really didn't achieve that at all.
I also feel like just because that wasn't achieved, there was this complete negative portrayal of everything Cape colored, and I was really just disappointed. I know that they are great people, and I fail to believe that the director's experience of Cape colored is all negative. Because I know he spoke about in interviews that he wanted to tell the story from what he's lived and what he's experienced. But surely there's been one positive person in his life that they could have portrayed in the movie. Because even the priest, who's supposed to be positive, was so inappropriate that I was shocked and very dismayed. So let's go into what we enjoyed about the movie.
There were two things I enjoyed about the movie. The first was it was only an hour and 15 minutes long. The second, and this is only I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there was a character wearing a Deadpool shirt. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Spider wore the Deadpool shirt.
Yes.
I think that in terms of acting, the mother and Spider did a relatively good job.
Yeah.
I also feel like it was nice to see a different population group, but as I said in the themes, it wasn't really done well.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to feel like that was a really strong positive aspect of the movie.
This is normally the part of the video where we tell you how good the subtitles were, whether you could follow along with them, whether they were obtrusive. They were non-existent. They chose not to air subtitles with this movie, and that was quite a surprise.
Yeah, I thought it was a very strange choice because you alienate everyone who doesn't speak Afrikaans. And that will bring us straight into the bad. Another reason why it was really bad that there was no subtitles is the score. The music was so loud that in certain parts of the movie the dialogue was inaudible. So without subtitles, even I couldn't follow through the dialogue some of the time because of the music.
And the choice in music was weird sometimes. I can see they were trying for gravitas sometimes, but sometimes she was speaking with the priest about her daughter's just been shot, she's struggling with her husband, and they've got this chappy music that you can dance to in the background. I just could not grasp why you would do something like that, why you would choose to play that music behind a deep, intense scene.
Yeah, a lot of the music was mood incongruent throughout the movie. It just didn't bring you into the movie, it didn't fit, it didn't monopolize on the emotions that should have come out in the scene. I think what it did was actually detract from the emotions, and even some scenes and some shots that might have been good were completely nullified through the choice of the music. I also questioned the relationship between John and his daughter Abby, because in the movie it seems like she is deaf, but the way he speaks to her and their body language, it's as if she's a very small child, as if she's like 7 years old.
Papa sal seker maak daar's niks en niemand wat vir Abigail sal seermaak of enige iets aan Abby doen nie.
And there isn't really enough in the movie to tell me that she's developmentally delayed. And it bothered me because are we to assume that because she's deaf, she's developmentally delayed? I would say that most deaf people are not developmentally delayed. Deaf people actually hand babble at the same time, around the same age, as hearing children start to talk, talk babbling. So I found it disturbing that we were just to assume that she was developmentally delayed, or perhaps it was just not well written. I don't know what the reason was for that. And I also think part of it could have just been because it was really overacted.
Maybe because a lot of the actors in the movie were first-time actors. A lot of the scenes were overacted. Some of them were underacted, but the majority just overacted. It was
almost comical.
At times, yes.
Sometimes.
Definitely.
Especially going along with the inappropriate music. I think the priest's scenes often felt more comical, and it's almost like it was part of the Three Stooges somehow.
Yes.
But it was in this very serious movie. And because of the dialogue and the theme of the movie, it was hard to believe that that scene was supposed to be comical. So it was just really out of place, and the acting was just... Yeah.
While there weren't many special effects in the movie, the few that there weren't really carried out very well and very consistently. Every now and then, when there were gun battles, there would be muzzle flashes, there would be no muzzle flashes. So you weren't really sure which gun was going off, if any of the guns were going off. The bangs from the guns were very muted in the background.
It sounded like fireworks.
Yeah. It sounded like fireworks quite a far distance away. Even the blood, it looked good in one scene, looked like ice cream syrup in the next. Just very inconsistent and poorly executed in some places.
What bugged me a lot with the blood is that the pooling of the blood after the daughter gets shot just felt very wrong. Because, gravity's a thing. So even if you're laying down and you're shot in the front, blood would still pour out and would go down your back eventually. Especially the way he was holding her when he was taking her to the clinic or hospital. But there was no blood on the back of her shirt, and it's like, okay, so her whole front is drenched, he's got blood, but there's not a drop of blood on the back of a white t-shirt. Just didn't make sense to me. The story was also very fragmented. I feel like there was no focus, and it was really incoherent at times because of this fragmented pace. Because we're supposed to be watching this movie about this father getting revenge, or at least that's what the synopsis says. But we saw the father in like 3 or 4 scenes, and then the rest of the time we were following other characters, and they were having these long, drawn-out discussions that had nothing really to do with the movie. I failed to see what the point of most of the movie was. And having it be 75 minutes long means that's a really scary thought.
For a very short movie, it was very poorly paced. You would expect you've got a little bit of time, make use of it. You got to get to the action pretty quickly. You got to get through the story pretty quickly. But they had some scenes where they sat in the car talking about nothing for it felt like 15 minutes. I don't know how long it really
Probably was at least 10 minutes.
But like that pacing was so bad sometimes.
And with that pacing, sometimes the camera work also was just really poor. There was this feeling when they were in the car that there was supposed to be this dialogue, but it was just really poorly executed because it was just going back and forth too fast and not really following the person who was talking. So, yeah. As a South African, I know that our police force isn't always the best and that some of them are corrupt. But I feel like the movie just portrayed terrible police, as if there was no positive role models, no positive police, no positive anything in the movie. And it was really disturbing.
Yeah.
And I feel like not even the father figure was positive, even though he had this relationship, or was supposed to at least have this loving relationship with his daughter, because they didn't spend enough time on character development. So we were supposed to root for people and, be upset with the cops, but there was not enough substance for us to even care.
Slight spoilers here, but the ending as well was very fragmented. It almost didn't make sense. He gets beaten and he manages to get one shot in on the bad guy with a hammer. So he's beaten to a pulp, the bad guy runs away, and the bad guy goes to his daughter's room. Why, I don't know. I really don't know. To finish the job, I suppose.
But she was shot
But she was...
as a bystander by accident, so what job would he need to finish? Because she didn't even see who shot her.
I don't know. But he goes there, and the father's, from being beaten to a pulp, is now suddenly in the hospital room. Fine, nothing wrong with him. Previously, he's been overpowered. After hitting Spider with a hammer, he's been overpowered by Spider and beaten to a pulp. And this time, in the hospital room, he's Superman. I mean, like wrestling Spider, no problem. There was no sense of continuity there. And there was no sense of, this is the revenge, this is the retribution, this is the big payoff at the end of the movie. It was nothing.
Yeah, partly because we just didn't care.
Yes.
It didn't help that the theatre that we went to also put on the lights, like literally at the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Which really annoyed me because the lights are so bright and you're sitting in this dark room that it kind of blinds you. So, yeah, that just
Icing on
was...
the cake.
Yeah, definitely the icing on the cake that was Bloed Betaal. In terms of ratings, I'd give this a disappointing 1.
I'm going to join you and give it a 1 as well.
So overall, our rating would be a 1.
Yeah.
Who would enjoy watching this movie? I think people who invested in the movie or in someone who was in the movie. I also think people who enjoy watching South African movies and want to support South African artists.
Yeah.
Especially those people who've already watched all other South African movies. So Tweerbos, Wessens, even This Is a Burial, Not a Resurrection. So you've seen all of those and you still want to support a South African movie on big screen. Maybe. No, and at least it's only 75 minutes. So if you have the time and got nothing else to do. So obviously you guys can tell by now that we didn't love the movie. If you've seen the movie, let us know what you thought about it. Are we being too hard? Are we not being hard enough? Comment down below. Bye.
Later.